when your data dump actually makes it worse about Epstein emails, things are going terrible for Donald Trump. And the reignited scandal around the Epstein files, the doors to Congress have reopened, oxygen has rushed back in, and boom, we're back with an inflamed scandal. It's not just 3 new emails, all making Donald Trump complicit in the cover-up, making it a lie that he said he didn't have a close relationship with Epstein, that girls and Donald Trump didn't go together. It's worse than that with the new data dump. And we also have, of course, Ghislaine Maxwell, who's out campaigning for a pardon. And we've got, in addition to that, new reporting about the fact that the administration can't deny, and actually made it worse during a press conference about Donald Trump's being in Epstein's house for an extended period of time with a victim who we know is an underage girl. We tie it together on Legal AF, the podcast, the full-length version, but here's a clip. So let's kick it off with Epstein files. So much to cover. It's funny, I was putting together my week's sort of topics that I was going to do Sunday night. I was like, I haven't really heard anything about the Epstein files lately. I mean, David Schuster had that new reporting that I liked a lot that had finally come out about how bad the Epstein files are that are being withheld by Donald Trump and the cover-up. And then we get the bombshell this morning of the Oversight Committee releasing the 3 emails, which we're going to read and put up on the screen and all that good stuff. And the fight for Donald Trump to try to prevent the discharge petition from getting the bill to the House floor so that Americans know which side the various parties are on. Are they on the side of child sex traffickers? Or are they on the side of sexual abuse survivors? And we need to know that. So, Karen, did you get a chance to read the emails?
Yeah, they were very surprising that they have these emails and that they're out there. And there's so much to talk about. For example, did Todd Blanche have these emails when he interviewed Ghislaine Maxwell? And if so, why didn't he ask her about them? Because it clearly shows that there was this discussion between Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein about Donald Trump. And why didn't Todd Blanche ask her about it? Why didn't Todd Blanche pin her down and ask her why it is that they were talking about this? There was a police investigation, and that Trump was at Epstein's house with a girl for hours. I mean, it's pretty bad, these emails. So I want to know, what did the Department of Justice know? Why did they give such a softball interview to Ghislaine Maxwell? Why didn't they ask her about these emails? The other thing that really surprised me, or I shouldn't say surprised me, but the other thing that I saw that I was like, really? Everyone's going to see through this, which is, as soon as the Democrats dropped these terrible emails, the Republicans then did a giant dump of more Epstein files, and thousands of them, I think 20,000 of them, to try and, I think, deflect and confuse, to make it seem like that these emails aren't that big of a deal, and to give everybody other stuff, almost to like drown them in information and some irrelevant information. And the reporting, I think, is just really going to be surprising. I shouldn't say surprising, but it is surprising every time you hear about this. Every single day, when people start going through this giant document dump, and all the stuff that's coming out and will come out once they release the full files, when they get the 218 votes, when Representative, Grijalva was sworn in, but they have to let it ripen. They have to let the issue ripen for at least, I think, 7 to 10 days while the House is in session before they will actually vote on it and then release it. So there's more to come. This is just day one of a story that's bigger than any of us imagined.
Well, let's catch everybody up. So let's play I'm going to do it in reverse order. I'm going to play a clip from Ghislaine Maxwell's interview under oath with an immunity deal with Todd Blanche, Donald Trump's former and probably current criminal defense lawyer, number 2 in the Department of Justice, in which she denied the level of friendship between Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein, that Donald Trump had ever been at the house with Jeffrey Epstein. Everything was all, no, I don't think so. He's a lovely man. I never saw him do anything wrong. And let's play the audio, and then I'm going to read you from an email she must have forgotten from 2011. And certainly Todd Blanche either buried his head in the sand and didn't want to. Look, he got prepared 7 hours to take the interview. There's no way he wanted to see these emails, nor, or let's remind our audience, Maureen Comey, James Comey's daughter, who prosecuted Ghislaine Maxwell and knew the case like the back of her hand, and would know if Ghislaine Maxwell was lying or not. She would have been the truth serum in the room, was fired 2 weeks before or 3 weeks before the interview. So he went in with nobody that knew anything about the case. He certainly didn't go through hundreds of thousands of documents to pull out documents about Ghislaine Maxwell. He just went in cold. So she was able to lie because he wanted her to be able to lie. Here's the clip.
Mr. Epstein and President Trump together.
Yes.
And there's photographs of, I think you're in some of the photographs as well. Those all appear to be social settings.
Yes. That's my memory. If there were social settings, I don't know Epstein's, if he had, whatever the nature of the president's friendship, if you will, or however you want to define that with Epstein, I was never witness. I think they were friendly, like people are in social settings. I don't think they were close friends, or I certainly never witnessed the president in any of, I don't recall ever seeing him in his house, for instance.
So that's what she said. I never saw him in the house with Epstein. And now we have the email that came out today. Saturday, April 2nd, 2011, from GMax, Ghislaine Maxwell, to Jeffrey Epstein, or from Epstein to GMax first. I want you to realize that that dog that hasn't barked is Trump. Victim's name redacted. Spent hours at my house with him. At my house with him. He has never once been mentioned. And then another reference that I'm not aware of. And Ghislaine Maxwell says in response, yeah, I've been thinking about that. So she just said in her interview, I don't think he was even in the house. And here Jeffrey Epstein says, hours were spent between Donald Trump and this victim. And all the victims were girls at the time, meaning they were raped. Now, I'm not suggesting, I don't know what happened for hours in the house with Jeffrey Epstein, or if this is true, but this is 2011. This is in real time. This is years before Donald Trump even thought about running for the presidency or ran for the presidency. And then that's not all, right, Karen? Then we've got the other email, which I think is as bad, if not worse, because Donald Trump has taken the position publicly that as soon as he figured out that Jeffrey Epstein was a creep, he banned him from Mar-a-Lago or fired him from Mar-a-Lago. Now we know the real story. The real story is they fought over a $40 million piece of oceanfront property, and Trump didn't like the fact that Epstein bid up the price and competed against Trump and made him pay more than he wanted to. And that's why he stopped talking to him. But here's in real time in 2019 what Epstein tells Michael Wolff, the reporter. Victim Mar-a-Lago, I'm not sure what that is, with another redaction. Trump said he asked me to resign. Never a member, ever. Of course, he knew about the girls as he asked Ghislaine to stop. Now, the only way that I can interpret that is that Donald Trump knew that Ghislaine Maxwell was using as a hunting ground, as a predator, Mar-a-Lago, to pick up girls to have them be sexually abused by Jeffrey Epstein and or others, and told her to stop. Not report her to the officials, not report her to law enforcement, not stop sex abuse trafficking. Just tell her to stop. Girls, Ghislaine Maxwell, stop. I mean, they can come up with all sorts of other crazy ways to interpret that, Karen, but how do you read it?
I don't think there's any other way to read these emails. I mean, the one you mentioned in 2011, they talk about a police chief. That means they're talking in the context of a police investigation. I mean, there's just no way you can try to pretend that not everyone knew what was going on here. And the more we see the emails that are coming out, the more we see that this is about Donald Trump, who was very much closer to Jeffrey Epstein than Ghislaine Maxwell is saying he was. that he spent time in his house. We know he's been on his plane. And now we know he also spent time with girls. And the Republicans have now said, oh, well, the girl they were talking about is Virginia Giuffre. And the reason the Republicans are saying that is because in her book that was published after she died, she did not mention any sexual activity with Trump. And so they're trying to say, oh, that see, that's a lie. That didn't happen. And we don't know, first of all, that that's who they were talking about. But I just think the more we see about this, the more it just stinks to high heaven, to tell you the truth, because I just can't believe. I mean, why is it that Donald Trump is so furiously and desperately trying to get the Republicans to block this, to not allow the rest of the stuff to come out? I mean, we're just getting drips and drabs, certain emails that maybe were obtained by the House Oversight Committee from Jeffrey Epstein's estate or other places that they're getting this stuff. The full documents, the full investigation is with the Department of Justice, Pam Bondi, and Kash Patel. And lo and behold, today, and as you said, in the Situation Room, which is usually reserved for, like, let's talk about war, let's talk about really important things that are happening. And the Situation Room means there's a really important situation going on. You know, as you said, we're going to talk about SNAP benefits. There's millions of Americans, including children, who are hungry, who are starving, who are being deprived of food. That's not a situation. What's the situation? What's the single most important thing today? That they have to summon the troops like Pam Bondi and Kash Patel to try to talk to Lauren Boebert because they think she's the weak link, because they don't think that the other Republicans are going to pull back. That's what they did today. That was the most important thing for them, to try to stop this. So I want to know what else is in there. What are they hiding from? I mean, look, it's pretty bad what's coming out, these connections and what they're saying about Donald Trump, but he's clearly hiding something. And he doesn't want it to come out. And hopefully this will all come out.
Even Michael Wolff, a journalist who's been on Legal AF, Midas Touch, there's an email there. I know people on first blush were like, oh, this looks bad for Michael Wolff because it looks like he's coaching Epstein about certain things. But buried within this exchange, which I don't have the context for. In fact, I think Michael Wolff's going to be on with Sidney Blumenthal on Legal AF sometime tomorrow to talk about this email. But in it, in 2015, there's a back and forth between Epstein and Michael Wolff, who's working with him on a book at the time. And Epstein says to Wolff, or Michael Wolff says to Epstein, I hear CNN, this is in the election campaign arena, I hear CNN planning to ask Trump tonight about his relationship with you, Epstein, either on air or in a scrum afterwards. And Epstein's worried about that and says, if you're able to craft an answer for him, what do you think it should be? And Wolff says, I think you should let him hang himself. If he says he hasn't been on the plane or to the house, then that gives you valuable PR and political currency. See, Michael Wolff has seen the evidence and the photos from Epstein putting Donald Trump on the plane and in the house, which is, again, counter to what Ghislaine Maxwell just lied in order to get her pardon to Todd Blanche, the clip we showed earlier. So he's saying, well, you could hang him there if he lies because that's easily refutable. And then if he says you're a great guy, well, then you could use that too. I mean, he's giving him some crass political advice to somebody that we now know is a convicted child sex trafficker or an indicted child sex trafficker. So let's fast forward to Donald Trump's main concern, playing golf while Americans suffered. He did not return to Washington until recently, made his way down, got booed at the Washington Commanders game, and then ends up back in Washington. And his first order of business is not to help the American people, not to figure out how to get the bill passed to reopen the government. It is how to browbeat MAGA and Republican members of Congress, women again, and put them in the hot seat of the Situation Room and get them to change take their signature off of the 218 signature required discharge petition, which would then bring the bill that's stuck in a committee to the House floor for a full vote, which we have the 218 votes as long as Nancy Mace, Lauren Boebert, and Marjorie Taylor Greene, along with two other Republicans, or one of the Republicans, stay together. Welcome back. We sit at the intersection of law and politics. We do it on Legal AF Podcast. Thank you for being a part of it. Thank you for putting us in the top 30 of all YouTube podcasts. We could use a little more help on the audio side. Plug in Legal AF. Listen to the full hour at your leisure. We do the show twice a week on the Midas Touch Network, Wednesdays and Saturdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Commercial-free versions over on Legal AF Substack. Take a moment while you're on Midas Touch, hit the subscribe button. Legal AF, hit the subscribe button. Legal AF, we're trying to march to 1 million subscribers in about a year. We're getting there. We're at about 940,000. Go check to see if you're part of that build. We always remember our first million. So subscribers. So until my next report, I'm Michael Popak. Can't get your fill of Legal AF? Me neither. That's why we formed the Legal AF Substack. Every time we mention something in a hot take, whether it's a court filing or a oral argument, come over to the Substack. You'll find the court filing and the oral argument there, including a daily roundup that I do called, wait for it, Morning AF. What else? All the other contributors from Legal AF are there as well. We got some new reporting. We got interviews. We got ad-free versions of the podcast and hot takes. Where? Legal AF on Substack. Come over now to free subscribe.